Let's talk about Rivian Automotive, stock symbol RIVN. This stock has taken an absolute beating since its founding or since its IPO back in 2021. It has dropped 94% off of its all-time highs. And yet there's such a huge love for this stock, which I'm not really sure where that comes from, considering how much it has abused investors since the IPO. And yet people still will tell you how wrong you are to be bearish on the stock. Now, I'm not necessarily bullish or bearish on the stock. I don't really think it's a stock worth trading. But what I want to do in this video is dissect the technical analysis, provide a fresh look at the charts, and really see, okay, is there something that we could be optimistic about? Is there something in the short term or the long term worth considering getting long on? And that's what I'm going to do in this video. So let's go ahead and get that started now. This stock honestly reminds me of an inverse ETF over time. I mean, you have this just huge fall off on the stock and then it just flatlines. And you look at something like SQQQ over that same period of time, and it has the same thing, just a huge sell off over a longer period of time, I should say, but a huge sell off that just flatlines because eventually the stock goes to zero. Of course, you have the reverse splits that kind of keeps the ETF alive. Rivian will probably have to do that at some point as it continues to dip lower like it has been. Now, here is where I thought it had the best chance recently to really right the ship. You had this inverse head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, and then you had a right shoulder. And it broke out, but it only broke out for a day before it gave up all those gains. It was an impressive breakout. Ideally, what you wanted to see is it break back above the July highs, but it couldn't get anywhere close to that. And since then, it has just been in a tailspin to the downside, going from 16 down to 11. Now, zooming out a little bit further, there is some declining resistance here to be made aware of, and it has yet to break above it. So you had the test back in early January. It hasn't gone back to test it yet since then, and you had another test in late December of 2023. Both times, sharp rejections. Underneath, you do have some support, but it's tepid support at best. It's only been tested twice. So two times is all you need to really create a trend line, but that doesn't make it the strongest of trend lines. I like to see multiple times where it's been tested and held. In this case, we only have two. So if this does keep dropping lower, maybe you have like support way down in the fives, but that would just basically be blowing up your position. Why would you want to hold it for that long? Maybe in the more near term, a little bit of support can be found around this $11 mark. That could certainly hold somewhere between $10.50 to $10.75 to be more specific. And then if you go out even further, this is where it kind of gets more interesting. If we go ahead and get rid of this line here and we draw out this line over here, we can see where maybe there is something developing here. Maybe there is a reason to be maybe a little bit more optimistic about the stock. Because what it did is you have this declining resistance. It broke above it when it confirmed that inverse head and shoulders pattern. And then it's pulled back, but it's pulled back and tested this declining support level each and every time. And each and every time it has held it. So we've tested again here in March, and it's bounced a little bit. But the only problem with that is that every time it tests it, it's testing it at a lower point because it's a former resistance level, a declining resistance level that it's now using as support. Declining resistance levels that flip to support, they aren't the best support levels to really like, but if it can find where it's converged here with this short-term support level, maybe there is a possibility there. But what you have to see, and this is something we haven't seen in the entire life of this stock, is a higher high on the charts. Let's go back and look at the weekly chart. And let's go ahead and also take the lines off of this chart so we can just look at it for the price actions, and that's it. All you have is lower highs, a lower high here, a lower high here. This is a whole section of lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower high. So what would that tell you? If you really want to change the trend of the stock, if there's a reason to get interested in RIVN, it needs to put in not a lower high, but a higher high. It needs to do that just for once in its entire existence as a stock. Put in a higher high. It's yet to do it. It's put in a higher low, but then that falls apart. Because in order to have a solid trend going forward, at the very least, you need a higher high and a higher low. In order to get that higher low, man, you really need to have a higher high first. Otherwise, it's tepid at best. Right now, we've yet to see, going back to 2021, a higher low. And so if you're looking at just from that standpoint, there's nothing bullish about this stock. I know there's a lot of people that'll tell you, oh, well, the prospects, oh, you know, the next quarter is the quarter that we're waiting for. This is the big one. Show me on the charts. Make it prove that on the charts, because as long as I've seen this stock trade, I've always heard about something great about to happen. I've seen these stocks in my neighborhood driving around, or not the stocks, but the actual cars, and they're a great car. They look great, but it's got to translate to price at some point. And so from a risk reward standpoint, I don't see it there. It's very volatile. I think you're putting a lot of capital at risk if you're trying to trade this. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, at least from my standpoint. Give me a higher low to be able to trade with a minute amount of confidence. If you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below, what is your strategy with Rivian? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you like, no way am I ever trading this stock? I would love to hear what you have to say down below. Thank you guys, and God bless.